Have you ever wondered why a mean comment, or being left out of a group, can feel like an actual punch to the gut? Well, it turns out that feeling isn't just in your head. Our need to connect with other people is so deeply wired into our biology that any threat to that connection can trigger a very real, very physical response. So today, we're going to dig into the science behind why rejection literally hurts. So yeah, this is the big question, right? It's a feeling we've all had, that sharp sting of being rejected, or just that dull ache of feeling lonely. And it feels so physical because, well, it kind of is. And the reason why is a story that goes back millions of years, deep into the evolution of our most basic survival system. And to find the answer, we can't just look at modern psychology. We have to go deeper, into our ancient biology. We need to look at the one system that was designed to protect us from physical harm, to understand why emotional harm feels so, well, so physical. It's a system that's been fine-tuned for millennia to keep us safe in a very dangerous world. So let's start with that ancient guardian, our immune system. You know, we usually think of it as the thing that fights off colds or the flu, but its real job is so much bigger than that. It's designed to keep our bodies biologically safe from any threat, period.
Okay, so this system has two main branches. On one side, you've got innate immunity. Think of this like the bouncer at a club. It's super fast, it's aggressive, and it reacts to any general-looking threat right away. Then on the other side, you've got adaptive immunity. This is more like a detective. It's a bit slower. It gathers very specific evidence on a threat, and it remembers that bad guy for next time.
I love this metaphor from researcher George Slavich. He talks about the immune system as a biological army. And that's such a great way to think about it. This isn't just a random collection of cells floating around, it's a highly coordinated strategic defense force. And the immune cells, they're the actual soldiers on the front lines. And you can see here just how that army gets deployed. These cellular soldiers, they're waiting in the barracks, places like your spleen and bone marrow. As soon as a threat signal goes out, they are called to duty. They pour into the boulevards of our bloodstream and race to the battlefield, wherever an injury or infection might be happening in the body. But here's the thing, and this is absolutely crucial. For this army to really work, it can't just sit around and wait for an attack to happen. The best armies in history were always the ones that could anticipate a threat and get their soldiers into position before the first shot was ever fired. Our immune system evolved to do the exact same thing.
So, if the immune system is our army, then who's scanning the horizon for danger? Well, that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, the brain. It's our social radar, and it's on the lookout for everything from lions to loneliness.
That's right. The brain is the command center, the lookout tower that is constantly, and I mean constantly, monitoring our environment. Its main job is to spot potential dangers as early as possible so it can sound the alarm and give the army enough time to get ready. It's a 24/7 surveillance operation. But just look at what's on the brain's watch list. Of course, it's scanning for the obvious stuff, physical dangers like predators. But right there on the very same list are things like social conflict, isolation, rejection, and exclusion. So why on earth would our ancient survival brain put a bad breakup on the same level as a lion? Well, from an evolutionary standpoint, the answer is terrifyingly simple. For our ancestors, they were the same level of threat. Being part of a tribe meant you had safety, you had resources, you had protection. But being cast out, rejected, or left alone, that meant you were vulnerable, a prime target for injury or starvation. Social safety was physical safety. Okay, so this is where it all clicks together. We're not talking about two separate systems here, one for physical threats and one for social threats. We're talking about one unified defense system. Let's look at what happens when a purely social event triggers a deeply physical alarm. Scientists have a pretty fancy name for this, social signal transduction. But stick with me here, because the idea is actually super straightforward. Your brain is basically a translator. It takes an external social event, like being criticized or ignored, and it translates it into an internal biological signal that screams to your body, get ready for a fight. And it sends that signal down a direct hotline to the rest of the body. It uses these major communication lines, like the sympathetic nervous system. You've probably heard of it as your fight or flight response, and the HPA axis, which is what floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol. These are the messengers running to the barracks to tell the army to get ready. So here is the absolute kicker. When you experience social rejection, your brain doesn't really know the difference between that and a physical threat. It interprets that rejection as a warning sign that a physical injury could be coming next. So it tells your immune system's army to mobilize, to prepare for a wound that only exists as a possibility. and that is why it hurts. In this whole process, this whole mind-body connection, it's all captured in a really powerful framework called the social safety theory. It gives us one unified explanation for how our social lives are completely tangled up with our physical health.
And at the very heart of this theory is this powerful idea. Making friends and keeping those bonds strong isn't just a hobby. It's not just a personality trait. It's a fundamental human drive, just as basic as our need for food and water. It's an organizing principle for our entire species.
It really all boils down to these three core ideas, and they're super simple, but honestly, pretty profound. 1, we are literally evolved to seek out social safety. 2, when we have it, it is incredibly good for our physical health. And 3, when that safety gets threatened, it's incredibly harmful to our health.
Okay, so this science is fascinating, right? But what does it actually mean for you and me in our daily lives? Let's talk about the real-world impact of our deep biological need to belong.
Just take a look at this number. A massive study found that people with strong social connections had a 91% increase in their odds of survival. I mean, that is just a staggering figure. It really shows that our relationships can be a matter of life and death. And if you flip that around, the threats are just as real. This chart shows the increased risk of dying early from different kinds of social threats. These numbers are right up there with, and sometimes even higher than, well-known risks like obesity or heavy drinking. And this brings us right back to the beginning. The reason you hear public health experts say that loneliness can be as bad for you as smoking 15 cigarettes a day is because of this ancient biological system we've been talking about. A threat to your social safety is a threat to your body. But the good news in all of this, a strong sense of belonging can be one of the most powerful medicines there is. So we have to end with this question. Now that we know this, now that we know social safety isn't just a nice to have, but a fundamental biological need, just like food or water, what are we going to do about it? It changes how we should think about everything, from public health to our own daily lives. How can we start building a world and a life that truly protects this ancient, vital need?